Would you consider maybe going back to something like that? Is that
Absolutely
what you're
not. No, we've invested a lot of time with these guys playing in their spots. I know you're interested in JPJ. This is an official week to practice and to get ready. Yet last week was not that. So he's ready to compete for the playing time, and he and Alex will be going at it. So it's a good situation in that regard.
When you say competing for playing time,
Jackson and anybody in 2 weeks. We got to see what he can do. So we got to check him out and see how he does.
Welcome to the Put On Waivers Media Group, home of the Put On Raiders podcast and the Student Body Right podcast. This is your place for the best breakdowns and the best insight for those who fight on and bleed silver and black. Now, here are your hosts, Dwayne Douglas and Ryan Holmes.
Welcome, everybody, to the glorious episode of the Put On Raiders podcast. I'm your host, Dwayne Douglas, along with Ryan Holmes, and we are podcasting on the beautiful shores of the Pacific Ocean. Beautiful day out here in Southern California, and I'm sure out there in the Southwest, out there doing your thing out there. So,
humid, hot Southwest.
Is it ever? Is there? Actually, there are some winters because y'all be having no ice storms sometimes. So the Raiders and this whole thing. So we can do the all 22 next week. If you want to see the all 22 videos that Ryan does, I'm going to put his Twitter handle in the bio. Click on that, and then you'll have all the ones you want to see. I can post some. I can do a video later tonight and post some just on another video as well too, so you get a chance to see them. But it wasn't good. It really wasn't good. They went to the Commanders and played terribly. But let's just talk about the offensive line really quickly, because that is like the I think JPJ has become one of the beloved Raiders. So like when you attack the one of the beloved Raiders, everybody comes out of the woodwork and everybody goes crazy. So Pete Carroll had the press conference and talked about how they weren't going back to the last year's interior offensive line. They're staying with their decision with that. First of all, if you've watched, probably the only folks who watch more tape than you at the Raiders are people who get paid to do it. So
I don't get paid to do it. That's for sure.
We don't get paid to do it. So my question is, who would, after watching last year and this year, who would you? I know, and you have to keep the scheme, and you have to keep the scheme in mind when you're doing it. But just your idea, like, who would you start, and what do you think about Pete's response to the question that Vinny Bonsignore had about the offensive line?
If it was up to me, I would start Jackson Powers Johnson at center, but it's not. I want the big physical guy inside that can move zero techniques, can get movement in the running game, can help with the double teams. He was the best center in college football for there. Really stood out at the Senior Bowl before he got hurt there, and had his best snaps last year. Honestly, at left guard, he wasn't very good last year, and then they moved him to center, and then he got better. I didn't really love Pete's answer, but thankfully Chip Kelly today went into detail why. I don't know if you saw that, but Chip Kelly went into detail why they've done what they've done. He's a little crazy in his response when he compared Jordan Meredith to Jason Kelce.
Yes.
I'm not going there because Jordan Meredith has not been good.
Yes.
He's getting thrown around. We thought Andre James had no play strength.
Yeah.
There's several clips of Jordan Meredith just getting thrown to the ground by defensive linemen, which can't happen. But I understand, and this is part of Pete and Chip. Pete's always been like, he has ideals he wants for every position, going back to his days at USC. And he feels that he wants the big, powerful guys at guard. He doesn't want him at center. Chip wants the more mobile guy at center. He mentioned that today. So Jordan Meredith doesn't fit their scheme of what they want of a guard. They don't want a 300-pound guard. They want a big 330, 335-pound guard, which is what Jackson Powers Johnson gives them. Which is kind of what we thought there. I don't think there's, a lot of Raider fans are out there posting stuff that something happened behind the scenes. We don't know about it. Someone pissed off with someone. It was, people are ludicrous saying that because Jackson Powers Johnson declared to Ashton Jeanty, I'm your center, that the whole coaching staff was like, screw this guy, F him, we're not going to play him. Like, that has nothing to do with it. He just doesn't fit what they want in the center. They want him at guard. It's been one game. Now, if they want to keep him at guard and leave him at guard, then move him to left guard. where he played a little bit last year, and he's next to Colton Miller. He has that veteran presence next to him,
Yep.
and put Parham back on the right side because that's where he's been better. Dylan Parham is a fringe player in this league. I've never been a huge fan of his. He's a better right guard than he is left guard. So if they're dead set on those three guys, I think they need to flip them. I don't think they will. And they both went into detail saying they basically want to play this out. They need to get reps together. They've only had one game because JPJ's missed the last two. But if this running game doesn't get better, and this week it needs to because Chicago's not good against the run, if they can't run the ball this week, then that's going to be a telling sign.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot going on. I do think, and then you add the family dynamic as far as that goes, part of it. Like I'm not going there, but I'm sure if and Pete was very testy at the press conference today. I'm sure if anybody brought up Brendan Carroll as well, then it would probably took it to another level because that's just we're all parents. At end of the day, but they haven't been good. They're gonna look to Carroll. They're gonna look to to Chip Kelly, and they're gonna look to, hey, your son is the offensive line coach. We've seen a share of bad offensive line coaches with the Raiders, and all the things like that. So that could be. I mean, that's what I'm just talking about from a fan perspective. That's what the fans are going to be talking about. Like, what I mean? That's the fans we're going to be looking at, and like they're going to want to say, like they're going to say, like, what are we? What if we had a guy who was like, it wasn't like they were amazing last year on offensive line last year. They weren't amazing last year, but they were. I mean, they're getting just like mollywopped up front right now.
Yeah, and the regime that drafted Jackson Powers Johnson's not there anymore. That's a
Mm-hmm.
problem with turning over the coaching staff so much. So,
Mm-hmm.
um, if Telesco took him and their vision was to play him at center, that's not what this new regime is. So like they're just going to have to adjust and adapt. Like it's not a huge difference. Like if he
Yeah.
can play center, he should be able to play guard.
Yep.
It's up to Jackson Powers Johnson to take control of this and go be the best guard he can be and not just sit there and not be good because he's way too talented to not
Yeah.
be able to play guard in the National Football League. So to me, at this point moving forward, it's on Jackson Powers Johnson. If he wants to have a long career with the Raiders, go make the best of this opportunity to play right guard. And if you don't, if you lose your jobs to Alex Keppa, that's on you too. Like that's on
Yeah.
Jackson Powers Johnson. So I don't think they're moving him back to center. I think we may see Will Putnam at center before we see Jackson
I
Powers
just,
Johnson at this point.
I just said it. I just said that. Like after Pete said that, I was like, oh, so that probably means if Meredith ever went down, that you're still never going to see Jackson Powers Johnson at center again for the Raiders. So, that's it. That is what it is. We both watched all 22 of the Commanders. You posted a bunch of videos there as well. What was any last before we get to the Bears this week? What were any last thoughts about what happened there and what was? I mean, Pete mentioned the whole thing, a lot of stuff about the Thursday night rest opposed to the Monday night rest, all those things like that. But what are your thoughts about any last shots we have about that game?
Yeah, I'm not gonna to cry over spilled milk there. It's week 3. It's not week 16 or 17. The Chargers played Monday night late game.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't bother them. They went home and they beat the Broncos. So I'm not going to even say that was part of this. I think the biggest takeaways from this game are first, the offensive line has to get better run blocking. The
Yep.
communication has to be better. The pass protection has to be way better. Like there's guys just running free when
Yep.
there's guys double teaming when they shouldn't be, guys running through the A gap when they shouldn't be. Four-man rushes completely confusing 5 or 6 blockers. Like the miscommunication up front has to change.
Yeah.
Guys getting beat is one thing. You can get physically beat, but you can't just let guys run free.
Yep.
Defensively, it was really hard to find anything all
Also,
22 wise to put up. It wasn't good at all. Like they got physically dominated.
yep.
The Redskins basically lined up with 6 offensive linemen and said, "We're running at you. Stop it." They couldn't do it. And then they had a quick game where they were getting the ball out of the quarterback's hands in 2.5 seconds, so the pass rush
Mm-hmm.
couldn't get home. And they kind of caught the Raiders in like a big defensive line because the Raiders couldn't stop the run. So what they did was they sent it, 3 defensive tackles and Max Crosby out there. They didn't have another guy rusher.
Yeah.
Rarely did you see Kuntz or Malcolm, or you didn't see Kuntz and Wilson on the field with Crosby very often. They just kept rotating who that end was going to be. A lot of times it was Jonah Lalalu out there. So Patrick Graham, you know, called this game like it was preseason. Like we get these games from him where it's, hey, we're going to play cover three and we're going to mix in a little bit of cover two and maybe man every once in a while. We're not going to do anything exotic. We're not going to try to confuse him. We're going to treat Marcus Mariota like he's a rookie and just throw basic stuff at him. Didn't work, and they didn't adjust. So can't tackle, can't block. That game was bad to watch on all 22, and hopefully it gets better.
Yeah. Hopefully it gets better. They come home and face the Chicago Bears, who listen, I think I think you're seeing like, teams will a lot of times in the National Football League, college football, whatever, when they get destroyed and get blown out, they respond in the following week, especially early in the season. The Bears responded to a shellacking by the Lions, who put a 50 burger on them, only gave up 14 points to the Dallas Cowboys. Caleb Williams probably his best game as a pro. Got everybody involved. Roma Dunze, they do have some weapons there. Zacchaeus, who I like in the slot. Moore got involved. Luther Burden called a deep pass. You also had I mentioned at Doomsday, they have two tight ends who are really talented. They try to do everything they could to ensure the offensive line became better. So we'll see if the Raiders can get pressure with this offensive line. Ben Johnson is the play caller. The whole layer of this game is that Pete interviewed for the Bears job. The Bears said no. Vice versa for Ben said no to the Raiders. So you have that nuance in it as well. What do they have to do to beat the Bears here coming up this week? As I'm sure you watched the Dallas game last week.
They have to score points. Let's start there. Like
That's true.
if they can't put 20 to 24 points on the board,
Yeah,
they're
it's
not
gonna
going
be
to
over.
win.
Yeah.
The Bears are going to be shorthanded. A lot of their players are hurt right now that haven't practiced this week. It's Thursday, so we don't know who's going to play. But
Yeah.
right now, like TJ Edwards hasn't practiced. Kyler Gordon, one of their DBs, hasn't practiced. Jalen Johnson's on IR. Grady Jarrett hasn't practiced. Colton Loveston hasn't practiced. Darnell Wright hasn't practiced. Like these are big keys. The biggest thing I think the Raiders have to do is get pressure and mix their coverages with Caleb. They can't just sit in cover three
Yeah.
and let Ben Johnson just dial stuff up. So they have to confuse Caleb Johnson, but they have to get him on the ground. Like the Raiders aren't getting pressure in the pocket. Like they have to collapse the pocket, but don't let him escape and make plays outside the pocket, be sticky down the field. They have to tackle. So I think defensively, they just have to mix the coverages and try to confuse the young quarterback because if they play cover three and they can't get home, like this team has DJ Moore, they have a Dunze, they have a Cole
Yeah.
Kmet. Like they have weapons. I wouldn't be too scared of the running game here. Just think DeAndre Swift hasn't done much, but it's still Ben Johnson. They're still going to mix it up. They're going to vary their schemes that they're going to use. I think offensively, if I'm the Raiders, I'm taking a page out of the book of the Redskins, and if Michael Mayer doesn't play, I'm going six offensive linemen. I'm putting Stone Forsythe out there or
Yeah.
whatever
Why not?
tackle I feel comfortable with.
Yeah. Why not?
Because you can't use Brock Bowers right now in the running game to block. You can't really use Ian Thomas. He hasn't been very good there. So the Bears are like 26th in the league in rush defense. They're giving them almost 140 yards a game.
Mm-hmm.
So the Raiders have to figure out how to run it. They can't just go in there and throw the ball all around the yard. They need to run the football and keep the defense off the field, slow the game down, get Ashton Genty going. Because this offense isn't going to really get explosive until the running game comes forward. So go six offensive linemen if you have to. Go put Ian Thomas with a sixth offensive lineman out there, and then put Brock Bowers out wide when you need to do that. Just Brock Bowers' knee is not good. He's at like 50% right now, and then asking him to hold up in the running game, which is not a strength of his, if Michael Mayer's not there, is not a good combination. So
Yeah.
do whatever you need to do to get Ashton Genty going and run the football and be patient and stay with it. Work in the play action. The Raiders were at their best in week one when they ran play action over 30% of the time. They've kind of gotten away from that
Yeah.
the last 2 weeks. But on the flip side, I can also say they need to throw the ball down the field too. Like this Bears defense is 27th against the pass. They're giving up 248 yards against the pass as well. And their entire secondary, all their corners are hurt.
Yeah. The starters.
So if they can't run the ball and they can't throw the ball and they can't score points this week, then something's seriously wrong
Yeah.
with this offense moving forward. But I would stick with the run first. I'm not going in there trying to blow them out. I want to establish time of possession. I want to establish the line of scrimmage. I want to set an identity because the Raiders don't have an identity right now.
Yeah.
Start this week, run the football. And then I don't care if this game is 20-17, just find a way to win it at the end and let teams know that you can run the football, build confidence in this offensive line, and get Jackson Powers Johnson back in there at right guard and see what happens.
And it's that commitment to running the football that we thought we were going to see when Chip Kelly got here, right? I mean, there's gonna be times where you get stoned, and then you have to sit back and just like punt the football. But I mean, that's sometimes sometimes you just got to do that because you can't sit there and with this offensive line, any decent pass rush is gonna get there if you're not if you're sitting there and you're not making the defense think you're gonna do something else. I think also early in the game, play action is an option where you have to sell the play action. Like, you know what I mean? Like you have to really, and then maybe you get Trey Tucker deep, maybe you get somebody down the field that way for the Raiders. The Raiders defensively, they are struggling against motion. They have one of some of the worst numbers in the National Football League against motion, and that's what the Bears did last week against the Cowboys. They were like 76% motion rate. They had 7.7 yards per play. Yards per pass play was 11.4. So like that's something where they have to match up with that. And they do have some different kind of pieces that I think we could give the Raiders some issues, but all those pieces can't get the football if Caleb Williams is on his back. So you have Kuntz needs to bounce back. I mean, Max Crosby got to do something here. They got to do something here to get him to the football and the quarterback early in the game, so he's not chasing sacks later on in the game when the game is over. But that's basically the Raiders have to get some of these things done, otherwise we're going to be sitting here at 1-3, and 1-3 when you're in the soft part of the schedule, the quote unquote soft part of the schedule is going to be pretty brutal out here in Vegas.
Yeah, the pass rush has to get home, and they need to move Max Crosby back outside. Like he lined up a defensive tackle on several occasions against the Commanders.
Yeah.
Which was weird because it was on a couple of them were running downs, and he kind of just got blown off the ball by guards, which makes sense because they weigh 70 pounds more than him.
Mm-hmm.
But they need to get him outside the tackle and just let him rush. Like I don't understand why you're using Max Crosby the way they're using him as a
What
five.
is wasn't there a part of wasn't Kittle who said something about that about that during the preseason, and now we're kind of seeing a little bit about that now, and then now he's also dropping in the coverage.
He did it twice again last week.
And I'm like, bro, I know are we waiting for the Max Crosby interception? What are we doing? Like, I mean, to me, if you're gonna give him a rep where he's gonna drop in coverage, just take him off the field and give him a breather. If that's the case.
Yeah, he's been lining up as a five technique a lot, which in that defense with Pete Carroll's kind of like that run stuffing big end where he's lined up on the outside shoulder of the tackle. He's not out wide where he can get a rush going. It looks like he's lost some weight, like he's trying to be quicker, but you need to get him out on the edge.
Yeah.
Like, get him away from the tackle and let him rush and be Max Crosby. You're making it way too easy to double team him when he's lining up on the outside shoulder of the tackle, where you can move a tight end very easily. And a lot of times what you're seeing is he's the one that's jamming the tight end at the line of scrimmage, and then the tight end's kind of pushing him even further out. So by the time he gets disengaged with the tight end, the quarterback's already got the ball in his hands. So they need to move him to the other side. I'd move him to the weak side when they can and let him get up and rush. And then these blitzes just have to be better. Like Patrick Graham's blitzes aren't very exotic. They're not fooling anybody. Like when they're bringing extra rushes, they're not getting home. So Patrick Graham needs to design some better rush packages as well.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, this combination, I just, defensively, I mean, I just have to see they got to see something here, because they got to, because like I mean it's difficult for all Caleb Williams' ups and downs and with the roller coaster playing quarterback in the National Football League. He's had some good games, had some bad games, but he doesn't really turn the ball over regardless. Like he doesn't have
Yeah,
a
he's
lot.
throwing a lot of interceptions.
He's not throwing a lot of interceptions. So I think ever since they had that meeting where CJ Stroud has gave him the advice at half at middle of the field, I think he's only had 6 interceptions in that whole time. I think he had one. So he doesn't turn the ball over a lot. So getting one would be big, but it doesn't mean you can't, sack, strip, and get things going in that direction. So obviously team effort. They got to get something going on there because this is like, this is going to be this is going to be a really, people had a lot of questions about Pete. You
We
had,
had questions about Pete.
yeah, we did. We did.
I still do.
And you had, and you had a great question. What does success under Pete Carroll look like?
3 years from now, what is
Yeah.
success? Because
What
right
was
now
success? Yeah.
we're looking like year one is a wash, like
Yes.
which you can't stand on the podium and say all I do is win 10 games and
Yeah.
we're going for it and we're trying to win, and then
Yes.
now we're only 3 weeks into the season. We could believe wrong. This thing could turn around and miracles can happen,
Yeah.
but until it does, yeah, I don't know what success looks like. Because in three
Yeah.
years from now, if they're like I said when they were interviewing, and if they win 6 or 7, and then they win 8 or 9, and then you make the playoffs at 10 wins in year three, is that success? Because now you have a 37-year-old quarterback. Like you're
Yeah.
probably not in a position to draft anyone, so we'll see.
Yeah. We'll
Like
see.
let's just make the playoffs in the next 3 years before we even get that far.
Yeah, seriously. As far as blitz pickup, Dennis Allen is the defensive coordinator for Chicago. I doubt that he is going to just sit back and let
Not when you watch this tape. No.
exactly when he's sitting there like obviously. I mean, I think there's been too many years gone by for the whole Dennis Allen revenge against the Raiders thing. That was a long time ago. But I know his style of defense when the Bucks were at their best, and he was in and he was with the Saints. He gave Brady all kind of hell in those 2 games. They would sweep the Bucks a lot in that time period. But like, what is how if you're sitting there saying to yourself as a Raider fan, how are we going to handle some of the blitzes that might come on 3rd and 7, 3rd and 8 from Dennis Allen? Had they done anything on film to give you confidence that they're going to be able to do that?
To date, no. Like
No,
they
no.
need to throw screens. They need to get the ball out of the hands of the quarterback. They need a quick game. Um, everything can't be 5 and 7 step drop. Like I want to see
Yeah,
the ball swing routes into the flat. Get the ball to Genty. Throw some screens to Genty. Hell, throw some screens to Bowers. So some tight end screens. Some of the stuff you've seen Tampa Bay do, or not Tampa Bay. Some of the stuff you've seen Kansas City do with Kelsey in the past. I don't want to see like the quick bubble screens to wide receivers out wide. Like miss me with that stuff, but like get the ball in the hands of the
yeah,
running backs. Um, if I'm Dennis Allen, I'm attacking right guard, right tackle with stunts. I want to
yeah,
see if they can pick those up because week one they couldn't.
yeah,
And then last week they're just sim pressuring. Like they're showing 6, dropping 2, bringing 4, and the interior of the offensive line just wasn't picking anything up. So
yeah,
I'm going to do that as much as I can. Now he's got to be careful because his cornerbacks are not going to be good in this game. And if
yeah,
the offensive line picks it up, Gino can hit some plays down the field. But I think there's times where Gino's just holding the ball too long, where
yeah,
he can get the ball out quicker. Um, it's weird when you watch the all 22 because when Chip does call some quick game stuff, the defense is on it. Like they're covering everybody in the intermediate area, and you're like, how did they know like it was going to be like curls on that route or quick
yeah,
slants where like the linebacker's getting in the window like so they just have to be more creative in some of the quick game stuff. Now I will say this, there was guys open again this week on film. Like people want to rant all over Chip Kelly, but like Chip Kelly's not the one throwing the football and he's not the one blocking. Like they've called some plays that have been there that just haven't been picked up either because the protection didn't hold up or Gino didn't see it. So there's been plays on film where the big explosive plays down the field are just opportunities just to get the ball out of the quarterback's hands that just haven't happened.
yeah,
Um, and part of that's on Gino, part of that's on the offensive line. But kind of seeing where this offensive line is now, you just got to dial up a lot of quick stuff, and just hope your guys can break some tackles, get some yardage after the catch. And in this game, they can't turn the ball over. Like just
That's
that's where
brutal.
I said they have to run the football and
Yeah,
get the
that's
running
brutal.
game going. The crowd is going to be pro Bears, where everyone's seen where it's 50-50. I was at the
Yeah,
Bears game when Fields and Gruden was coaching against Fields. The
a
Raiders
lot
lost.
of
There was a
Bears
ton of
fans.
Bears fans
Yeah,
there. So like
yeah,
that 50-50 might be light. It might be 60-40. So the Raiders are going to have to go with some silent count stuff, I would think, in this game at home.
yeah.
And they have no one to blame but themselves. Like I'm tired of fans
Yes.
basically trashing other fans in the organization. If you care so much, you pay the price and you go if you want to be a Raiders fan there. Like the other teams are definitely doing it. But until they win at home, why would people pay the money to watch the product this team has put on the field since they moved to Vegas?
And listen, Monday night, Pete, everybody came out and said, "We need you, we need you, we need you."
They
Right?
showed up.
They showed up. They played the perfect they played the perfect opponent for that moment because we all know the Chiefs. I mean, the Chargers have very few fans, so everything was in their favor, and they laid an absolute. I mean, it wasn't even like they lost. If they lost on a 60-yard field goal by Dicker, I think the outcome for this game would have been a little different. As far as that goes, but they literally just blanked the bed and in that game and looked terrible. So then next thing you know, next home game, I can't blame them for doing that at all. So that is what it is. You mentioned a screen game. I mean, bro, like where is it? Like, I mean, that's the one. I mean, like, I don't even understand it because you have a back who is once you do a screen pass to Genti, Ryan, and he gets behind those big offensive linemen, it's like, dude, it's like whack-a-mole. Like you can't find them. Like you can't, you know what I mean? So like I don't understand that at all.
The Raiders haven't had a screen game since Gruden left in 2002, since the days of Charlie Garner. Um, the Napoleon Kaufman and Charlie Garner are probably the last two running backs that have had when the Raiders have had the ability to throw screens, which is a lot of people listening to this probably never watched those two guys play in Raider uniforms. We're talking 25, 30 years ago. But that's something I expected to see from Chip because that's always been a part of his offenses. And he hasn't called a single screen to a running back. Now he'll probably do it this week and throw it to Zamir White or do something stupid. Hopefully that doesn't happen. But
Come here,
um,
White.
I do think Jack Bash is going to keep getting more snaps on
Uh,
offense, which he did last week.
yeah.
I had a lot of fans like respond to me when I said that after watching the film 2 weeks ago, assuming that Besh was gonna take Tucker's snaps, and I was like, no, 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 he's taking Thornton's snaps. Like Tucker's open, and then Tucker scores 3 touchdowns. A lot of people thought, he'd
Yeah.
take Tucker off the field. I think we're gonna see the same thing on defense. I think Darian Porter showed well in the 1 quarter he played last week, and I think he's gonna eat into Blue Kelly's snaps. So, um, it's week 4. And they're probably going to be rotating corners in this game. You're going to see Darian Porter, and I think you're going to see the rotation, obviously, uh, at the wide receiver position where I think Besh got 18 snaps. I think he's going to push to more 20, 25 this week, and he's probably going to get half of those snaps when they're in 11 personnel.
Yeah. As far as that, yeah, it's just been a mystery to me where that's gonna. I mean, I could use a little Charlie Gardner screen pass here, but we're definitely not
Or
seeing
just
that.
run some angle routes out of the backfield. Run him down the
Yes,
seam. Like
yeah,
run him on a wheel route. Like let's just see it. Like
yes,
they're
yeah,
not even doing that.
yeah. I mean, I let a linebacker cover one of these backs in coverage. I was watching a preview for the Raider game, and there was a guy who I forgot. I always forget his name, but he's one of the few guys I actually watch. He's really, really, very, very thorough, and he went on and on about how what the f is going on with even giving Zamir White snaps. Because he just was like he just like, what are they doing giving Zamir? How do you take somebody at 6 and give Zamir White snaps? He was just going off on it,
He's not
and
doing anything with those snaps either. That's the
yes,
problem.
he's not. He's not. He really isn't. So it's just gross as far as
I
that
will
goes.
say this about throwing the ball in the backfield to Genti. It's hard to do that when you go empty or you don't have a back in protection in the middle of your offensive line and just letting guys run free. Like
Yeah,
that would scare me as an offensive coordinator because the quarterback won't be able to throw the ball. Like who's he going to throw it to when you got A gap pressure? And Gino,
yeah.
while he is mobile and can get outside the pocket, he's not avoiding linebackers coming through the A gap. Those are sacks.
Mhm. And I think also for him, I still think he's a little bit hampered by that hammy from the Patriot game. He looks a little tight every time he runs the football. As far as that is. Prediction. For this one, anything else you
Wow.
want before we hit the prediction button? Is there anything else in this game you wanna? Do you think the Raiders should? I mean, this is Ben John. I mean, Ben Johnson. We all like Ben Johnson as a play caller. So, what I mean, like, what does he bring to the table here? That really, I mentioned the motion already, but in your mind, what else does he bring to the table that gives you trepidation here for Patrick Graham and company?
Trick plays,
Yeah, that's true.
misdirection stuff, throwing the ball down the field vertically, which is what the Bears want to do. Which is going to challenge the communication on the back end of the secondary if they're going to play cover three. Um, he's going to try to run the football, so I think stopping the run. So there's a lot of things, and I think just getting Caleb moving, get him
Yeah,
moving outside the pocket, get him on the edge, give him the option to run it or throw it. Um, just think about what the Lions offense has done and kind of just some of the weird out of the box stuff you've seen. Like, who knows? They could be saving some of that stuff for this week. This isn't going to be where they're just going to line up and play old school smash mouth football. You're going to have to
yeah,
prepare for a lot of things. Special teams, they're going to see what happened last week. The Raiders were awful on special teams. They
yes,
try to do kind of some of the same things that the Washington Commanders did. Um, I want to see the Raiders do kind of like the squib kick that some of these teams are doing. Like I think I read somewhere where Carolina does it every time. That kind of like
yeah,
low line drive. You
yep,
got to get it past the 20. But if it lands inside the 20 and kind of kicks around and goes in the end zone, then they get it at the 20.
yeah.
But it also affects field position. You know what the average starting field position for the Carolina Panthers opponents are this year?
With 15-yard line, 20-yard line.
21.
Oh,
21 yards.
that's but they're making it work then. They're
Well, you
making
know
it
what the
work.
Raiders is? I don't know what it is off the top of my head, but I'm going to guess it's somewhere outside the
Yeah,
33 to 37. Like we're talking 15, 16 yards. So like Daniel Carlson's good enough to kick those line drives that land kind of in that landing zone and kind of bounce around. That messes up the blocking by the other team. It
mm,
doesn't allow the returner to get momentum going forward. He's got to feel the ball on the ground. We saw
mm.
it go through the hands of the Steelers,
Yep,
rookie running back for a touchdown for the
yep,
Seattle. So let's do something to kind
yeah,
of change it up. Like Carlson's just kicking these line drives right at the guy who can get momentum coming
yeah,
forward.
yeah.
There's no hang time. He's kicking like bullets down there.
Yeah, and then
Uh,
and then to that point, I mean, I know a lot of special teams coaches like to have returners basically kind of field ground balls, if you will, on some of these, and sometimes like
yeah,
they're used to the ball just being up here, and then when they have to fool around with it down there, they might make a mistake, as we saw in that game you talked about.
yeah.
And if it's a close game, remember that the this team doesn't have the greatest kicker in Santos as well. And Santos has been so iffy that they brought in the great Jake Moody to be their as their practice squad kicker. So they don't really have a great kicking game as well. So we shall see. If that's the case. So, but Raiders Sunday, Bears. Yeah, what we got for a score here?
Well, I think the Raiders are going to be able to run the ball. I'm not going to say Genty's going to go for 100, but I think as a team, they'll go for 100. I think we might see Mostert this week. I hope we see Mostert this week. Just another speed guy, a guy that can catch the ball out of the backfield, a veteran that you can put in there for pass protection if you need to.
Is he
Put him
getting
back on.
healthy? Is he getting healthy?
He's not hurt.
Yeah, he's
He's
not
not
hurt.
on the
Yeah,
injury report.
that's
He's a
that's
healthy
even
scratch.
that's weird.
Put him on kick returns. Just get Zamir White off the field.
Yeah.
At this point, I think they're going to be able to throw the ball too when they want to. They just got to be careful with it. They can't come out just trying to throw the ball around the field, quick 3 and outs.
Yeah.
I think this is a low scoring game because I don't really trust either offense here. I don't know if I trust either defense, but I think they're good enough to hold teams to field goals because I don't think either one of these teams is going to be great in the red zone.
Mhm.
So it's going to be really close. I'm going to say the Raiders win it on a late field goal. I'm going to go like 20-17. I would take the under here with both of these teams, and just see what happens. I could easily see it going the other way where they lose 20-17. I think this is a coin flip game, which is sad. Like we're in week 4 against a team they should beat. With the moves that they made, bringing in Pete Carroll and trading for a veteran quarterback, and now we're back to like, can we score 20? Like, I don't want to do that anymore. Like, we
Yeah.
should be able to score
It
20.
is.
So
Yes.
I'm
Yes.
going to give them
Yeah.
20 this
Yeah.
week, 20-17 Raiders.
Yeah. Yeah. That whole can you score 20? I don't mean grabbing 20 points in garbage time And those moments don't mean anything. But I totally like the can you score 20 thing. I'm definitely 100% over that. Like I totally agree with you. I think that the line is what, one and a half or one for the Raiders. I'm gonna go Raiders here as well. I think they just probably win the game like 24-21. I think, they just, I don't I don't necessarily think that the Raiders are as talented as the Bears, but I think if they can, before I can start really picking the Bears um to win a bunch of games in a row, I'd have to see a team play like consistently every week. Let me see Caleb Williams do it again. If he balls out again and has like 3 touchdown passes and plays great in this game, then I could say, okay, maybe he and Ben Johnson have arrived and they're on their way. But he's been up and down. So I think this is and if he doesn't have early success, sometimes in these games with the Bears, it just leads to him just not playing well for the rest of the game. And I'm not in love with with DeAndre Swift. Although when you play the Raiders, you don't have to be a great running back to have great numbers against the Raiders. But I do think the Raiders run defense will bounce back just a little bit. And I think the Raiders win the game 24-21. Well, 24-21, holding on, winning that game. I have to see, like I said, I want to see a little bit more from Caleb before I say that last week was who we're going to see for the whole season.
Yeah, I think the Raiders' best defenders this year have been their linebackers. I think Jamal Adams, Devin Bush, and Jermaine Pratt have played well. I think they need to get depth this week because I think the Bears are trying to attack the middle of the field behind those linebackers in front of pulling them out in cover three
Yeah.
because the corner's going to have outside leverage. And if you think about Jared Goff and Detroit, they threw the ball down the middle of the field. So those deep end routes, those dig routes, those crossing routes, those over routes, which Washington hit him for a touchdown last year. I think that's what they're going to try to do. So there should be time for the pass rush to get home. Um, I think there's going to be a heavy penalized game. I just see both teams committing a lot of penalties, and I see
Yeah, they have, yeah.
that's going to stop most of these drives. And then I think both teams are going to want to run the football. It's going to speed up the clock, slow the game down. I don't think both defenses are great. I just think there's enough things that are going to go wrong for both offenses to where it's
Yeah.
going to hold them into the 20-17 range. We could both be wrong. Maybe it's 34-31, but I just don't see
Yeah.
both teams playing that clean of a game on offense.
Yeah, no question about it. Yeah, you'd have to have a bunch of one play drives, if you will. And there are two play drives, if you will. That's the case because I think if you have long sustained drives for either team, you're going to see holding penalties. You're going to see penalties that back it up and make it difficult for them to complete the drive with 7 points. As far as well, so we both picked the Raiders. Close game. Out there in Allegiant. We'll see what happens. Anything else before we head out? Anything AFC West or anything AFC Westy or anything like that? I do think the Chargers, 3-0 and they won 3 games in the division. That's going to make it tough for for anybody to catch them if they stay healthy and keep playing decent football.
I need to look at the schedule, but when the Raiders play the Broncos, that defensive line for the Broncos is going to absolutely maul the Raiders' offensive line the way it is right now. Gino, I'm praying for you. That Denver defensive line is real.
The thing about it is that when you saw them, I think obviously we both watched them and we watched them play against the Chargers. It took that play where Herbert threw the touchdown pass is like, that's a miracle. That's 4 guys in the league can make that play for a touchdown. Like they just got hit with a miracle play right there. But like they have been really, really, they've been real. I know they had a little hiccup in Indianapolis, but I think they bounced back this week against Cincinnati. But it's tough, man. They really are like once they get the winning going again, and maybe their quarterback can hit a wide open deep pass, they would actually win. They actually win more games. But yeah, the defense is good. We have some good defensive pass rushing teams in this division, and they really got to do something. The Raiders got to do something with this offensive line because it just can't be. It can't be what it is right now.
That's all I'm watching this week is how's the offensive line?
Yeah,
are they doing what they're supposed to be doing?
Yeah, that's it. That's all that matters. All right, folks. You have a great weekend. We will see you next time. Don't forget to check out Ryan and the All 22 stuff on Twitter, if you will. And then for me, we got a bunch of stuff going on. This is basically, again, like I was saying the other day, this is Chicago. This is the state of Illinois versus my teams. You got USC is going to Illinois, and the Raiders are playing the Bears. So we'll see. We'll see if we can go 2-0 this week on the show. All right, you guys take care. Have a good day, man.
All right, take care.